we'll never ever know the full scope of what's happening. Like maybe it's beyond.
Like in your lifetime, you mean?
Well, maybe it's just beyond the human mind to be able to understand completely what's happening. And I think, A, they don't want to appear like they don't know what's going on, and B, I think they probably do know something that's going on, but they're powerless to do anything about it. And there is, as much as we want to say there's like a positive factor to it, I think there's a huge negative factor, and there's like a, you know, when you look at stuff like Stephen Jacobs talking about this infiltration through cloning and you know, that kind of thing, I think there's...
Man, I don't believe any of that crap. Get the fuck out of here.
Or like
with
5G.
That.
Get the fuck out of here.
5G is actually the invasion of the idea of AI and demons and all this kind of stuff, because it's literally going to change our cellular
structure.
structure.
I'm not sure about that 5G stuff.
Yeah, 5G, give me a break, too. There's so much like BS, the conspiracy crap out there you got to be careful about.
There's a lot
I've done no research,
but
actually, so I just want to say that.
Disclosure is... I feel like disclosure is being revealed in art more than anything. I mean, for the last 10 years, we're just inundated with sci-fi and alien stuff. I mean, it's like nonstop.
It feels like we're preparing for something. I agree.
Yeah, maybe there's... I mean, to a point, I think...
That changes people's mind faster.
So you don't think we're going to learn the whole truth, O'Connor? That's what you're saying.
I think there's probably a force out there that's fucking with us, and the people in charge are completely powerless to do anything about it.
So that's interesting, because that's the only time I could agree it could happen. Maybe there's something larger that we're not,
like
we don't know.
How could any
like maybe we were created by a different species. They're watching us like in a petri dish, and it's all out of our control, or something dark like that could be going on. I just don't think the evidence supports that. So I don't know if that's where we're going with this. You know, I do think there's compelling evidence out there based off like our fused chromosomes and ancient texts and ancient paintings and ancient religions pointing to stuff that yes, maybe aliens or beings from another place messed with our genetics and created modern human beings. That could be something scary that most people couldn't get. I can get behind something that why disclosure won't happen. Because God, imagine that someone was like, "Hey, by the way, we didn't evolve from apes. They actually took apes and combined it with their genetics and created a slave species, the mine gold." In you know, like that shit would be hard to get out to
Michael
people.
Tallinger.
Yeah, like
I just like. You know, how would you ever come out and say, look, there is another species of alien and they're slowly taking over, so everyone just, you know, just be prepared.
Yeah,
like,
but
how would you ever
say that?
Yeah, you can't. You just let it happen. Because if you can't do anything and they're so far advanced.
Yeah.
But see, that's again, like that's crazy to me. Like there's a race that's so much more advanced than us. They're slowly taking us over generations. I can't get behind like David Jacobs' theory. I think that shit is crazy and doing a disservice.
Is that if we are not at our highest level as a human potential, and most of us are not. We talk about that a lot on this podcast, about how like we don't even use a quarter or like a sliver of our brain. We don't use any of the gifts that we're given or any of the energy centers that we know how to use. Like the only way that we would be taken over is if we are ignorant to the fact of what's out there.
Look, I
have the power.
One,
that's what you're saying.
I, for one, welcome our new alien overlords. And
this guy, look at this guy.
He's broadcasting this out.
O'Connor's behind.
If you could put me in charge of everyone, I believe I could probably bring people into your slave colonies. And I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway,
no, that's
great.
Great. Some of the theories out there, though, I think it's good to bring up this shit because there's like these crazy theories out there that like why would aliens come down and take our DNA to like supplement their DNA because they stop being spiritual or can't give birth? Like it's just so ridiculous that something millions of years advanced in us like would need our DNA, would slowly infiltrate us. Like what makes more sense to me is what we would do to like another planet or species. Like maybe we're an experiment. Let's go back to our Galactic Races podcast we did where we found out that we were reincarnated beings spread out over thousands of years who agreed to be here to raise the density of the planet.
I remember, Josh, you were quite younger.
I think it's more weirder and positive than you think, O'Connor. Not that you think that. I know you're citing theories. That's what I think. I think there's something grander going on that's even more complex and more beautiful. I just don't fall for the fear-based craziness, like the butt probing. I always bring up butt probing on the podcast.
you do bring up that a lot.
Yeah, you bring
which
up
is
that
really,
literally
it's a little
every
concerning.
podcast.
I should see someone about that. I should talk to my therapist about that.
It's a little upsetting.
But that's
Take me!
It's the same shit with the infiltration, though. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, it wouldn't happen. I just don't see an advanced race doing that. Like,
look, I could see that you could argue that. Look, it's been how many years of humans roaming the earth now? How many millennia?
Yeah.
If there was some sort of race trying to take over, man, they are fucking slow or they're really terrible.
They're not good at it. Yeah, they're not good at it.
Yeah.
Well,
I can see that argument.
I mean, there's that theory. I think we talked about it. I don't know if it was the last podcast, but there's a theory that like we exist for either food or the fact that they're tinkering with us.
I think it's tinkering. The food thing is maybe the entities are feeding off our fear, unrelated to like the grand scheme. Maybe that's happening as a separate thing that's dark.
Right.
That could be happening. But I like the idea of tinkering. That's where I think it's going. I don't think it's fear-based. I think it's like we're a genetic species in some race. I think there's evidence that we've been messed with genetically. And that makes more sense to me, that maybe we're being tinkered into something, but it doesn't have to be dark. Like, it always ends with, like, infiltration and gray aliens, like, probing you. Like, it's ridiculous.
Do you give consent to this tinkering?
That's a good question, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, do you?
No. Yes, maybe. I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
Would you consider that dark if you were tinkered with and you didn't say, okay, please tinker with my shit?
I think if we... Okay,
Yeah, because then
what's one of the
you're
theories
powerless.
Yeah, okay, good counter argument. I would say yes, I don't like that. But what has my own research suggested? That one, we were tinkered with, which isn't good. I don't like that.
So we're probably still being tinkered with.
Maybe, but there's also a lot of people, I'm not going to say evidence, but you've heard this over and over again in the space that we were tinkered with and then we were given free will. What's the Bible talk about in the religious text? That we were given free will by a God. So what I think happened, and you hear this a lot, is that a galactic federation or some sort of federation stepped in and said, hey, knock that off, Anunnaki, whoever did it to us, give them free will. So there's like truth in like these religious texts. I tend to...
I agree.
That makes sense
how many
to me,
people
but I have no
practice
proof
free
for it,
will?
so whatever.
Nobody. How many people practice free will?
I'm a slave to my own mind. I don't even know.
Everyone is a slave to their own society, their culture, their patterns. We're
just habits.
We're just habits, but that's not really free will because you think you have to do them and you think you have to be part of this.
What are you defining as free will?
Well, free will is something
Is
that
it just me saying, you know what, I want to take my pants off right now, and just doing it?
Can you please don't do that?
No, Melissa, free will.
Don't judge him, Melissa.
Okay, wait, you got me.
Let's not end this in
But what I'm trying to say is that, like, the idea that you could completely think about a new thought in your head and completely do it. Like, okay, you would take your pants off right now because you're fighting me on something. But that's just a pattern of being like, fuck you, I'm going to take my pants off, right? That's not like what I'm saying about free will.
Yeah.
It's not I want to do what I want, but that, like, I have the power to do what I want. That's a little bit different than I'm just going to take my pants off.
Yeah. And what is free will anyways? Like, you still need like certain basic needs, and like, if you don't have them, like, your free will is gone. Like, I'm a slave to getting food. I'm a slave to finding water. Like, I don't know. What does that really mean?
You have to. Yeah. The basic needs of every human. But maybe when we're tinkered with, we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, tinker us better. Like, that's, like, why do I have to like sleep 8 hours a night and like drink water and food all the time? It's ridiculous.
I was gonna say, if you could give me some bionic arms and stuff, so I can lift cars and shoot hoops 10 out of 10 every time.
Right.
I'm on board for that.
We definitely need
a
space basketball team. Definitely.
Well, let's get back to this argument. Let's wrap this up because we're getting close to the end here. I disagree. I think disclosure is happening. I get the fear stuff, and I understand what you're saying, O'Connor. But I think we're living in disclosure. I think that is what is happening. And one thing that annoys me out there is I love the UFO community. When this article hit, like, everyone was so blasé about it. Like, all the big names out there. I'm not going to name names. I could literally list like 5 names off the top of my head. Like, it's almost like they stole their thunder. They're like, oh, it's not really disclosure. My research is correct, and I'm the one you should listen to. And a lot of people barely mentioned it. Like, it was like almost like they didn't care. Real disclosure is happening? Oh, whatever. My research is more important. Like, that is cool. Yeah. Like, that's the part that really bothered me. I was like, this is it, guys. There's
so much ego in this field.
So much ego. In
so
this field of enlightenment. Isn't that weird?
Right.
I got in a conversation today at work. It was really funny. We actually had a drive-by esoteric conversation where we talked about that. How people in the space somehow actually have the people who are compassionate and these like leaders in like the new age space who are like all about compassion and meditation somehow are the biggest dicks. And the biggest assholes out there. And like, what is that? What is that about?
It's this idea of, it's this like extreme narcissism. Like, oh, I am the only one that knows the keys to the universe. So
I'm the prophet.
Yeah, so therefore you must listen to me, and I'm the only one who's right.
Right.
What?
Right.
But here we are, like, trying to have disclosure or conversations about things in other dimensions, and then, of course, transformation. And
I'm the only one with the right message.
I think we just all need to take our pants off and relax. Right?
You could be a leader.
I could.
You could be a guru.
You could be a great cult leader, O'Connor.
I should be. Again, alien overlords. Let's introduce this pants off policy. And oh God,
I like you.
We need to end this.
You fight for the winning side.
Okay, we're ending this tonight. We've had way too much tequila. So I think that just to sum this whole thing up, I think we started with saying that, look, this is a pattern, right?
Yeah.
disclosure has been, as Josh saying, maybe dropping just slowly. It's been happening over decades of constant government involvement, lots of really juicy stories, and then nothing happens. So I think it's up to us to really want the truth and demand it. Like, there's just no way around it anymore. Like, we know it's real, and we want to know what you're doing about it. Instead of, we want disclosure to happen. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's all the time we have for tonight. So, see you next week.
Matt's wrong.
Goodbye.